So I've started off by using the light foundation that we have in our kits. I just used that on the back of my hand and buffed it over the middle of my face. So you want to really blend this and really buff it into the skin. And I think if this was a trial and I was to go back and do this makeup again, I would have probably have put a thin layer of corrector just on the cheeks where I'm really got a lot of rosacea. I didn't actually realise how bad my rosacea had got. So this foundation probably wasn't enough. It did need, like I say, if I was going to go back and do this makeup again, I think I'd probably put some green corrector just over the apples of the cheeks where it's really quite red. And just taking it down the neck and really buffing it in. I did actually, I left my brush kit from the kit in, this is my own brushes, this is not the brushes out of the kit. Next I used a pink shimmer illuminator from number 7. This is a liquid highlighter and I just patted this in over the cheekbones, over the high parts of the cheekbones, just so that the light, where I wanted the light to hit and reflect on camera. I did actually tint my eyelashes and my eyebrows, I think the day before I filmed this. So my eyelashes and my eyebrows are a little bit darker than normal. So yeah, so that did a little bit of, gives you a head start when they're already tinted. That's why my fingernail is tinted now on that finger. So I did take it up to the temple just a little bit. Just a really thin layer. And just really, I went in again and really buffed in that foundation again. So next I actually used out of our kit the lipstick, and I mixed 2 colours together to create a blush. So I wanted a cream blush and it actually worked quite well at the kit. So it's actually lipstick, but I used those 2 colours and mixed them together for a cream blush. And I kind of applied it in sort of an upside down triangle just over the apples of the cheeks. Again, using my fingers, the warmth from my fingers, just to blend everything together so you can't see where one colour starts and where another finishes. It's just all in synergy together. So next I went onto the eyes and I used a Dior primer just to prime the eyelids, take out some of the colour, some of the red and blue, to give myself a nice base to apply the eyeshadow. It also stops the eyeshadow from creasing. So as you're blinking, you get a build-up of product in the creases of your eyelids, and it just helps to stick everything into place. It gives the eyeshadow something to hold on to. So next I'm using this, it's kind of like a shimmery mauve, sort of taupey sort of colour, and I use that all over the eyelid with my fluffy blending brush. I've got a couple of these brushes. There isn't anything like this in your kits. They're not as big. You've got blending brushes in there, but they're just not as big as this. This one's a Lauren Luke brush, and this is her fluffy blending brush. It's similar to a MAC 217 brush, which is perfect for blending. I used it to apply the colour here. They're good for blending as well. And just all the way over the eyelid, right up to the eyebrow bone. Oh, here I had to go and shut the window because I was sweating. It was so hot yesterday. Oh no, I had to open the window, not shut it. So next I went in with a deeper colour, just on the outer corners, just to give it some definition. And this one had a little bit more pink rather than brown, and again it was quite a shimmery shade. So maybe one shade deeper, just on the outer corners. And when you're doing someone's makeup, keep looking back. Keep looking back, getting them to look straight ahead, and keep looking back to see if it balances. Obviously, nobody's two eyes are exactly the same. Usually you'll find where someone sleeps on one side, they'll have, you can tell when someone sleeps, which side someone sleeps on when you start looking at it, their eyes a little bit more, just to make sure they balance. So next I used that 217 brush, it was a clean brush just to blend, so blending those two colours together, so you can't see where one colour starts and another one finishes. It's just all completely in synergy with each other. You wouldn't be able to pinpoint where the colours were placed. It's just all really blended in. I think as well I'd probably conceal a little bit. I've not done concealer yet under the eyes, but I think I would have corrected the under eyes as well. So next I'm using the pointy brush, just mix the two colours together that I used on the upper eyelid, and I'm just going to use those across the lash line, just mixed together. Just right the way across the lashes. So next I went in with that darker shade that I used on the corners of the upper lid, and I just did it in the corners of the lower lashes as well. So the darker shade that we went into the outer corners went in the underneath and the corners as well. Then I had an itch. Okay, so next I used that mauve again. Oh no, I didn't. I used a real light highlighter. It's very shimmery pink highlighter, and I just put that on the inner corners. And the same colour went on the brow bone as some highlight, just a tiny bit. Okay, so next we went on to concealing the under eyes. I used the palette out the kit and I mixed the same colours that I used in our day makeup together to conceal the under eyes. Again, I think I would have gone in with a colour corrector again and used the peachy concealer. So I just mixed the pale and the medium together, the same as I did for the daytime look, and just applied it with my fingers all across the under eye. And looking back at the photographs, obviously if this was a trial, I think I would have took it a little bit more further down on the outside of the under eye, just to cover the dark and blend it in with the cheek colour if I was to do this look again. I mean, the coverage is not too bad with those palettes, but I did feel I needed another layer of concealer, and so I've used this one is my own. Just where there's redness. This one, it's not too light reflecting, so it's not too bad on camera. I mean, really, because this is a larger area, I should have maybe used the small sponge just to blend it all out. But I think I'd left the brushes, and I just had the ones that I had there. Yeah, I think that's nice cover. I think if I was going to do it again, like I say, I would have just took it a little bit down on the outer edge of the under eye, the concealer. Just don't think it quite covers all of the darkness. And then I use my foundation brush just to blend that out. And I don't tend to highlight the tip of my nose. It stands out enough. So next, I added just a little pimple. So I used some of that colour that I'd mixed and just applied that on the pimple. So next, I used our powder out of our kit. I decanted the powder out on a little bit onto some tissue, and I used a larger fluffy brush to apply a thin layer all over the face. Just to set the concealer and set everything. So next I used the eyeliner out of the kit with a pinpoint brush. I have got this a gel eyeliner in MAC, and to be honest, I didn't find much difference between the two. Obviously the price is a lot different, so I'm just using my spatula here just to apply to use the product from the spatula. It does dry very quickly, but so does the MAC one. So yeah, value for money. The one out of your kit is fabulous to work with. So I just started from the middle, tried to go really into the lashes, again the same as what we did with the powder eyeshadow last week with our day look, and applied a thin layer from the middle outwards. It got a little bit thicker as you go towards the outer eye, and then thinner from the inside of the eye. Really, really close to the lashes, as close as you can. And because my eyes are hooded, we do lose a little bit of the lash line from the hood, if you notice, on the inner corner. So I think for me, I wouldn't be able to get away with this look anymore. My eyes are just too hooded. But I think I got away with it in the end. So in that case, I would probably have smoked it out and used a powder instead. As well as, I think if I was going to do this look again on someone, I think the black was just a little bit too harsh. I think if I was going to do this look again, you know, with the wedding theme and it being very soft, I would have used a really dark chocolate brown instead of the black. It was just a little bit too much. So we again start from the middle. Thicker towards the outer corners of the eye, and as thin as you can get it on the inner corner. And if you're doing this look on someone else, you would need them to just look down for you, and you place your thumb on the eyelid and lift it up slightly, and just ask them to look down, and you've got a nice area to work with then. And can you see how steady your hands have to be? It was difficult to do this so you could see, but I was trying to make sure that was in shot. So just on the inside, really, really just the thinnest of lines. So for the outside corner, I did wing it out a touch, ever so slightly. Give it a little bit of a flick on the end, and then joined it up with the line. Just get them to look ahead and take a step back. Just make sure that they're both even and they're as symmetrical as you can get them. Yeah, can you see how it just adds that little bit of definition to the eyes, but still looking really natural? Okay, next I curled the eyelashes. Again, you'll need to get them to look down and pull their eyelids up. My camera cut out after that. So I curled the eyelashes and then next I applied the mascara. So again, use your thumb just to lift the eyelid up if you need to, get them to look down. From the roots to the tips, just wiggle the brush through the lashes, making sure you catch all the lashes on the inside and the outside. So this is my own mascara, but if you were working on a client, you would need to use your disposable wands, and you only dip into the mascara once. Okay, off camera I did add a few false lashes just on the outer corners, but we will do lashes, a masterclass in lashes probably next week now. So next I moved on to the eyebrows, so I just brushed the eyebrows through with a spoolie. And like I say, I did tint them recently, so they were quite deep colour. Anyway. And rather than using powder, I reached over and got a MAC pencil, and I wanted to do a few natural, I didn't want a block of colour that you get from the powder, I wanted to just do a few natural strokes of pencil, so they look like hairs rather than the full-on colour that you get from a powder. So they were already quite deep, so it was just sort of filling in a few gaps where the eyebrows are a little bit sparse. And I just brushed the corners down, just so I could get a better look at the arc to see where it needed patching up. Okay, moving on to the lips, I did a few swatch tests on the back of my hand and just put it up to my face. So I just used a nude lip pencil. It was a choice of two and I went for the one that was more pink. I think this is a MAC one. So I just drawed the outline of the lips and then filled it in. So if you, again, like I've said it before, if you think of a carpet, if you're really brushing it in to the roots of that carpet, and you add, lots of thin layers, you're gonna get a longer lasting makeup. Okay, so then at the lipstick palette I used the pale sort of browny peach, and then I used the pale pink, and I mixed the two together and just patted it onto the lip liner just in layers. Just with my finger. Or you can use your brush. Next I used one of my own palettes. It's the Charlotte Tilbury contour palette, and it's great for brides. It's so natural and nude, and I just did a tiny bit of sculpting, hardly any really, just on my nose, tiny bit. And around the jaw. So because it was such a hot day, I've got oily skin, so I used the powder and pressed it into the skin, and I knew this would set it really, really well. Obviously you wouldn't do this with someone with dry skin, because it will, you know, essentially the powder absorbs the oil, so I can get away with heavy powder because I produce so much oil in my skin, especially on the T-zone. And then I just fanned off any of the extra bits, and you can see it takes away a lot of that shine. I just applied, or I just pressed it into the T-zone area. Try not to disturb or move any of the concealer or foundation that we've already done. It's not actually a bad powder, it's fine for you to practice with. It's not as fine milled as some of the more expensive ones. Then I just brushed through my lower lashes. They were already very dark from the tint. So again, this could be a recommendation for your client, you know, with fair hair for eyelash tinting. You can put that as a recommendation as aftercare. It can go into your aftercare for your client. And next, just to get rid of any excess, I just went over with a fluffier, bigger brush. Mostly over the T-zone. Next I went in with another layer of the Skin Illuminator from number 7 that we used in the beginning. And just patted in another thin layer. So next I used out of the kit the shimmery pink blush, and just applied that on the cheeks up to the hairline. And you can get your client to smile just so you can see the apples of the cheeks when you're applying blusher. So now when you're coming towards the end of a look, you can see where you want to blend some more, where you need a bit more colour, if you know, if there's anything else. to finish it off. Just have a stand back, have a look.